Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the law. This is your legal lights. It is your health law. In the last couple of weeks, the headlines have been dominated by demonstrations, or call them protests. What is the basis for them? Are they constitutional? Are they lawful? How can they be lawful? This afternoon, I'm spending time with you on the laws that regulate processions or demonstrations. So we're going to have an interactive session. You will join me. Let me have your questions, and we shall answer them according to the law. I'm Samson Lardy Anyenini. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the law. It's your legal light. It's your health law. And today, we are considering a very important topic: breaking down the Public Order Act. Breaking down the Public Order Act. I'll introduce you to the full extent of the Public Order Act and some other laws or constitutional provisions that regulate special events like demonstrations and processions, and how you can do it lawfully so that in the end you will not be in trouble. And as I began, very shortly you will join and ask your questions. So it's going to be a fully interactive session of our legal clinic. So let's begin. You have seen many demonstrations, not only in the course of the last couple of weeks, but over a long period. And often, when these demonstrations are about to happen or when they are happening, we hear about the demonstrators getting into some conflict with the police. Often the question has to do with the police seeking to prohibit them from carrying out the protest or the picketing or the demonstration or whatever you want to call it. And they seek to prohibit them because the police will say the date on which you want to have it is not convenient. We can't protect you for the purpose. Or the police will say where you are seeking to have the demonstration or procession is a security zone. And because of that, we will not allow you. Then we hear all sorts of things that ensue as a result. In fact, in certain circumstances, people get arrested. So what is the basis for all of that? Is that backed by law? So in the short, you are seeing demonstration, very recent one, the Occupy Jilobi House. And of course, last week you also saw the one by the NDC and their partners about Occupy the Bank of Ghana. So for starters, let's go to the Constitution. And the Constitution of Ghana has provisions that guide how to go about demonstrations. Let's look at the 1992 Constitution, Article 21. Article 21 is under the general provisions we call fundamental human rights. We call it the Human Rights Chapter of the Constitution. This is the most instructive portion for the purposes of our interaction this afternoon and the education that I seek to give you this afternoon. Article 21, Clause 1 reads, all persons shall have the right to freedom of assembly, including to take part in processions and demonstrations. So you note that. Chapter 5, which is often referred to as the Bill of Rights or the Human Rights Chapter of the 1992 Constitution. Article 21, Clause 1 provides that all persons, you don't have to be a citizen of Ghana to participate in a protest or a demonstration. All you must be is a person. You don't have to come from a certain tribe or a certain village. You don't have to belong to a certain group or organization. All persons shall have the right to freedom of assembly, including freedom to take part in processions and demonstrations. So you recognize that in demonstrations or processions, you begin with assembly. You come together. So that's a freedom, fundamental human right that the Constitution guarantees. I'll be sharing with you what the Supreme Court had to say about this question, which makes you understand this in a certain dimension, that you are not giving this right. It is only guaranteed in the Constitution. You are not giving this right, and the reason it is called fundamental human right is because you are born with it. You are born with it because you are a human being. So the legal scholars and the Supreme Court will say your inalienable rights, rights that cannot be taken away from you, rights that they are like your skin. Okay, so you come with them, you are born with them. This is one of those rights. Your right to assembly, gather together, processions, participate in processions and demonstrations. So remember, we begin with Article 21, Clause 1, where the Constitution guarantees it doesn't give, because it cannot give what is already your birthright. What you are born with because you are a human being. It's like saying, the Constitution gives you the right to breathe. No, it doesn't. Right? Good. So from there, we will now move to the Public Order Act. The Public Order Act was made in 1994. So it's called Public Order Act 1994, Act 491. This was made in 1994 for a purpose. So your constitutions generally give you the broad strokes of the law. They don't give you the nitty-gritty and the detailed, as it were, mechanisms. So they give you the broad strokes. And then Parliament will, on the back of those broad provisions, make specific provisions in an act called an Act of Parliament, like this one, the Public Order Act. And then it will provide the mechanisms of how to access or assert that right. So if you read the Chapter 5, once it talks about these, including the right to information, then it says Parliament shall make a law that will detail how you can access or assert this right. And remember, every right comes with a responsibility, and every right has some limitation. So, to have an orderly state, you need such an act to provide guidance. So let's go through the Public Order Act. and I'm dealing with the essential provisions that you need to know. So you can, on your own or through your group, in your village, in your town, wherever you are, if you want to organize such a demonstration or protest, you follow it so you don't fall foul of the law. Because when you do, you'll be punished. You have a right, but your right goes with responsibilities, and of course, there are limitations. So, in Section 1 of the Public Order Act, it requires what it calls notification of a special event. Notification of a special event. Now, there's a history to why the law calls it notification. In 1993, remember this law was made in 1994. In 1993, the NPP was unhappy about a particular development. And so it went to court with a case to the Supreme Court. And that case is titled New Patriotic Party versus Inspector General of Police. They sued the police. What was their complaint? Their complaint was that we had a law then, and that law, which was made in 1972, called the Public Order Decree, NRCD 68. It required that if you wanted to have a special event, if you wanted to have a demonstration, you needed the permission of the police. You needed to apply for permits, for them to grant you a permit before you can undertake the exercise. As you see, the 1994 law repealed that 1972 law and the provision requiring permission, and now renders it notice. So there's two differences. You are seeking permission. It's not the same as you are serving a notice. So we go back to the Section 1. Notification of special events. A person who desires, remember again, it doesn't say a citizen. The law uses person for specific purpose. It doesn't use it because for nothing at all. Right. A person who desires to hold a special event in a public place shall notify the police of that intention. Notify them of that intention, not less than 5 days before the date of the special event. So the first requirement is that serve a notice. It can be a letter. It can be anything. Once you put it on a piece of paper and then you write and say, dear police commander, for the particular area where the police station is, where you are going to do the event, the nearest police station, you do it. And then you give them the notice at least or not less than 5 days before the event. Please take notice of that. Not less than 5 days before the event. The notification shall be in writing and signed by or on behalf of the organizer of the special event and shall specify. So that notice, it must be in writing, number one, and it must be signed by you, those who are organizing the event, or if somebody is delivering that notice on your behalf, then that person must sign it. Some people can decide to have a lawyer do that notice for them, but you need to know that you don't need a lawyer for that. It's just picking a piece of paper and writing. It doesn't say it must be typed. It says it must be in writing. And it doesn't say there must be any special format for it. So you don't have to be jittery about whether what I'm writing will conform to what the law requires. No. Once you have a pen, you have a piece of paper, the pencil, you write it. And you give them the notice 5 days before the event. Then this is what you are required to put in that notice. You shall specify 1, the place and hour of the special event. So you name the place. If you want to have it in Edum, if you want to have it at the close the Tamale Sports Stadium, or you want to have it at the Bolgatanga Social Center, if you want to have it at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, because it is the mayor that is doing something you are unhappy with and you want to demonstrate, or it is a school authority that's doing something you are unhappy with. So you specify the place and the hour of the special event. You want to start from this time, you want to end at this time. You state it. Then it says, you must also state the nature of the event. Is it just going to be go to one place, sit there and wield placards, or you want to take a march from, as we see often, from Obra Sports to the Bank of Ghana office, Bank of Ghana, premises or so? You state the nature. Is it just a picketing you want to do? How is it going to be? State the nature of the special event. The time of commencement, time you are starting. The proposed route and destination, I've already mentioned that. And the proposed time of closure, I've already mentioned that. So you need to put this in that notice that you are sending. It says the notification shall be submitted to a police officer not below the rank of assistant superintendent or other police officer responsible for the police station nearest to the location of the proposed event. So remember that you take it to the nearest police station and it is to be delivered to a police officer who is not below the rank of assistant superintendent of police. You don't commit any wrong by asking the police officer what their rank is. And when you ask, they will tell you. Sometimes you can actually see it on their breast pocket as well. So you take note of that. And it also requires that that officer or other police officer responsible for that nearest police station. So that's the commander in charge of that particular police station. Where a police officer notified of a special event under subsection 1 has reasonable grounds to believe that the special event, if held, may lead to violence or endanger public defense, public order, public safety, public health, or the running of essential services, or violate the rights and freedoms of other persons, the police officer may request the organizer to postpone the special event to any other date or to relocate the special event. So once you have given that notice, then the next thing you expect is that the police may notify you that we have gotten your notice, but we think the dates on which you want to do the program around the area you're going to do it, maybe there's going to be another special event. Maybe it is the case that some other group wants to do something around that place. So to have order in our society, they would simply let you know that we can't have both of you at the same time, or if they can, they will accommodate you. But if they can't, because they have to provide you security, and if they don't have the sufficient numbers, maybe on that day, the police for that particular area have already an assignment to attend to. So they will also, as the law requires, they will notify you of the fact that what you are going to do can lead to violence, or it can endanger public defense, public order, public safety, public health, or the running of essential services, or it will violate the right of other, violate the rights and freedoms of other persons. Once the police officer has, or the police have this kind of belief, then the law continues to say that this is what the police is supposed to do to you. They are supposed to request the organizers to postpone the special event to any other date or to relocate the special event. So if that date is the date that is not convenient to them, they will request you to postpone, change the date. You don't have to have a belligerent posture. This is no fight. This is only to make sure there's proper order. Change the date, then you may have to work on the date. But remember, they must give you grounds. It's not just that the police officer just wakes up and says, change the date. They must give you reason for wanting to change the date. If they don't have a reason for wanting to change the date, then you're at liberty to disagree with them. Okay? Just like Occupy Jilobi House, they intentionally chose the birth date of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And it has a significance for them, for what they were going to do. If the police said, change the date, they must give them concrete reasons. And the law says the reasons, the grounds are there. Whether what they are going to do will endanger, will lead to violence, it will endanger public defense, public order, public safety, public health, or the running of essential services. If they can't give you any such, you have every right to disagree and defy their request and not to, as it were, accede to their request. Remember, it's a request. It's not an order. It's not an order of a court. It's a request. They are pleading with you. So you agree or you don't agree. So if it's about the date, then they can request of you to change the dates. But if it's not about the date, but it's about the venue, they can request that you relocate it. So change from BOG to Independence Square, perhaps. Once again, they must give you a reason for that. They must have good reason. If they don't, you are not under any obligation to respect that. So once they receive your notice, they come back to you on two things. That is, if they intend to come back to you because they have an issue. Two things, date or venue. And they must give reason why they want the date postponed to a different date or why they want the organization relocated. And the routes that you may need to use, if you are going to do a march, they can also suggest to you that marching through this place, we suspect that this will happen. This place is the heaviest traffic, spot during the day you want to have it. We may inconvenience the public just too much. So let's meet each other halfway, right? So it's about agreement. It's a request. Once again, I need to emphasize that. It says that an organizer requested under subsection 4 to postpone or relocate the holding of a special event has 48 hours. 48 hours, that's 2 days, of the request to notify the police in writing of your willingness to comply or not. So when the police tell you or they inform you that this is what we want you to do, change the date or change the location, change the route or something because of such purposes, you have 48 hours from the time they communicate to you to get back to them to say, I agree with what you suggest. We'll do what you want us to do. Or you disagree. But the law says, where the organizer refuses to comply with the request or fails to notify the police in accordance with subsection 5, the police officer may apply to a justice or chairman of the regional tribunal for an order to prohibit the holding of the special event on the proposed date or at the proposed location. This is where there's always an issue. So if you don't write back to confirm that you are willing to accept the request of the police to relocate or to change the date or agree to changes to your routes, if you don't write back to confirm your willingness, then the police may go to court to stop you. Remember, if you do not write back, if you fail to write back, you have not committed any offense. You have not done any wrong, but it is proper to do it so. Now, if you do not do so, the law says the police must go to court. They cannot just get up and say, oh, we told you that this is not good, we are not available this date, and so you can't have the demonstration or procession. They don't have any power, no right to do so. This is a country of laws. It's a democracy, and we are operating the rule of law. So the police is a creature of law, so they must also work with the law. You must also respect the law. So they cannot stop you by their own word or direction, except a court of law. So when you fail to indicate your willingness to accept their request, they must go to court. They go to court, they will file an application and put it in the court. Formally, they would file this process in court on your blind side, what in law we call ex parte application. So they'll go to a court without you knowing. All you get to know is that they are holding an order, and they say, we have secured an order against you, you can't proceed. Until, in one case, Gifty Owari and others versus the IGP, in which the Court of Appeal judge sitting in the High Court, Justice Dennis Ejay, held, and since then they have not been able to go ex parte, as in on your blind side, held, they used to actually go to the lower court. The court held from that day that they cannot go to a lower court. They must go to a high court. And if they are going to a high court, they must do so with notice to you, the organizers. So they are under compulsion of law that if you have failed to agree with them, or you have failed to notify them of your willingness to accept, to relocate, or to change a date, or as in the route to a demonstration, they go to the court, but with you, not go alone and get an order stopping you. So they must notify you. So you can also be in the court and tell the court why you think they are wrong. In the Occupy Jilobi House, we know they sought to do the same thing. And then in the NDC's Occupy the BOG, they did a similar thing, raise issues about terrorism, fears of coups, the fact that Bank of Ghana is a security zone, and so on and so forth. Because they were served with the process, the organizers also went to the court, and they needed to explain to the court their side, why the police is wrong. So this is what the law requires. What that means is that they cannot just get up and stop you. It must take a court order to stop you. Now, if they have filed the application for prohibition, the law requires that once you are served with that process, as we have discussed in the previous weeks with my friends, once you are served with the application for injunction, you stop, hold on, go to the court, because their application may be dismissed. It is not a given that they will get it. So you go and make your case before you come back and then have your demonstration if it is permitted, if it's not prohibited, okay, by the court. So that is important. But it must be stated again that, as we have discussed over the period, when you are served with the injunction process, you are only taking a risk if you don't comply. If you don't comply, it does not call for arrest. It does not call for you being mistreated. What you have done is that you are becoming liable to contempt, being punished for contempt of court. But remember, if the police have gone to file an application that you shouldn't do this, and you defy them, when you commence the assembling, coming together and to do things, they have other rights under law to take you on. So let's all learn to comply. I'm opening the phone lines now. You join, ask your questions or make your contributions. Today, the show is interactive. It's for all of us. Make your contributions. I'm going to be sharing with you the consequences of not following the law here. If you don't follow the law here, what is likely to happen to organizers and even the demonstrators? There are clear sanctions against you if you do not comply. So, right about now, the phone lines, as you know them, have been activated. This is the law. It's your legal light. It is your health law. You can call, ask a question, make a contribution, and let's guide ourselves when we have to organize a demonstration. I also sought to refer to Article 296 of the Constitution, which is about the exercise of discretion. And I needed to refer to that because of the manner in which the police have gone about, particularly seeking to prohibit a demonstration by going to court. Article 296 says exercise of discretion. And I read that, then I pick my first, I have a first caller on the line. It says, where in this Constitution or in any other law, discretionary power is vested in any person or authority, that discretionary power shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair and candid. The exercise of the discretionary power shall not be arbitrary, capricious, or biased, either by resentment, prejudice, or personal dislike, and shall be in accordance with due process of law. What this means is that if you serve the police notice of your demonstration good time enough, they should get to you good time enough. Okay? Be fair. They must be candid. They must not be arbitrary. They'll be abusing the discretionary power. Discretionary power in this country, if it's given to you, it is fettered. Unless you are exercising it actually sitting as a judge, it is completely fettered, as in it is guided. And this is the provision of the law that guides it, the Constitution. It must be candid. It must be fair. It must not be arbitrary. It must not be capricious. That means you don't wait, as we have seen over a long period. The police should not wait a day before your demonstration, then they are going to court to say they are going to stop you. That is abuse of their discretion. If you gave them notice in long enough, they should also reach out to you long enough. Discuss that. So if you don't agree, say the demonstration is about a month away, and you send them notice a month before the demonstration. The first day they receive the notice, they should be able to tell you that we don't want you to have it on this date because of this, or we don't want you to use this route because of that. So that at least there's 1 month period within which, because you disagree, they can go to court, and the court would have resolved the case before the date. But to sit and wait until a day before the demonstration and they are going to court, they are abusing Article 296. They are abusing their discretion. It's arbitrary, it's capricious, it's not fair, and it's not candid. So they must stop that. Yes. Who is on the line, please? Please identify yourself and then go ahead with your question or contribution. Please speak up. Yes, go ahead.
They're calling from a
Hello, Omari, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the law is very explicit. And I want to find out whether the police and the demonstrators are very aware with the law.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the reason I'm doing this clinic with you, so that you become aware of the law. And it's an interesting question. You ask whether the police is also aware. Well, it's clear sometimes you can tell some police officers are clueless. They don't seem to know what the law exactly is. And sometimes you can blame them because they go through a whole lot of things and They may not have prepared for a demonstration, so they do not know. So this is your help law. Police officers will be watching, listening, so they can also benefit. So here is the law. You serve a notice at least not less than 5 days before the event. Specify the date, specify the location or venue you want to use, tell the nature of it. There will be how many people, you can give an idea what is going to happen, like if you have routes to move. Felix, you are calling from Kumasi. Let's hear you.
Yeah. Can you please help us know what constitutes public event? What are the listed events under the law that can be classified as public event?
Thank you very much. So let me go straight to the interpretations section of the law. And it says you are going to do what it calls special event. It doesn't call it public event, it's a special event. But in actual fact, it's just the public thing you want to do. Procession, picketing, call it what, demonstration, whatever you call it. It's called a special event. And it says special event means a procession, parade, carnival, street dance, celebration of a traditional custom, an outdooring of a traditional ruler, a demonstration, public meeting, or a similar event, but does not include a religious meeting. Of course, when you decide that you want to fast and pray and go and stand in some corner and pray, you don't need that kind of notice. A charitable, social, or sporting gathering, a lawful public entertainment or meeting. So once again, special event in the context of the law, procession, parade, carnival, street dance, celebration of traditional custom, an outdooring of a traditional ruler, a demonstration, public meeting, or such similar event. I think that's quite an exhaustive list, even though it's not exhaustive, but I mean, it's good enough. It doesn't include religious meetings and charitable or social or sporting, event. Musa, where are you calling from, and what's your contribution or question?
Good afternoon, you and you second. I'm Yamusa from Kumbungu in the northern region.
Okay.
Please, I want to find out, has the citizen any right to abuse police? For example, during the demonstration of Democracy House, I realized there was one lady who was so pure and was just insulting the police. I don't know whether that can constitute a crime, or when you have to demonstrate, you have every right to talk to the police the way you want.
All right. Thank you very much. So, like I said earlier, rights go with responsibilities. There are obligations, and your rights have limits as well. Okay? So, good conduct is expected of you at all times. In this country, insulting somebody is not a crime. But why would you want to be insulting anybody? Okay, insulting someone is not a crime. The only crime when it comes to insult is insulting a chief. Strangely, that's what our law is. Insulting the president used to be a crime. It used to be a misdemeanor, meaning you could be punished with up to about 3 years in jail. But we decided to scrap it. So that is no longer a crime, to insult the president. But why would you want to insult the president? What arguments can't you make without an insult? In fact, when you use insults, do you make sense? You don't. So you should look at the power of your arguments in the issues rather than insult. So, my friend, my straight answer to you is that insult is not a crime. But if you proceeded and the police wanted to do its work and you were sort of stopping it from them from doing their work, what you are doing is an interference. And that interference can become a crime, which you can be prosecuted for. Okay? So let's take note of that. In Ghana now, when actually insult or conduct that's demonstrates that can be interpreted as insult, it's only a crime when it is done to a chief, and it is punished by up to about, I think it's 3 or 6 months in jail and a fine, or plus the period in jail. Hello, Richard. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from DC.
Okay.
I'm asking to contribute. Mine is actually in the form of a question. Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah, please. In the case that if you want to demonstrate and you have followed all the laid down procedures, and then the police will go ahead to frustrate you, is it possible to actually prosecute them, like for them to take personal liability for not allowing you to do what the Constitution allows you to do if you fulfill all the requirements?
Okay, thank you very much. So we first identify that the right to assembly, including procession and demonstration, is constitutionally guaranteed. It's a fundamental human right. In Article 21, Clause 1D. If you read Article 33, you will find that the law says, the Constitution says, if someone threatens that right of yours, or they violate your rights, which are contained in the provision, the Chapter 5, the Fundamental Human Rights provision, if someone threatens to violate them or has actually violated those rights, you have within 6 months to go to the court and make a complaint, and the court will make a declaration. So that's your answer. You can take up a suit against the police. But if, as you say, it is not just frustrating or threatening your rights and frustrating it, but they have gone ahead to sort of harm you, cause damage or injury to you, you still have a right to take a suit against them. If they have caused injury to you, you can sue them for assault, just like anybody can take you on for assault. Okay? Whilst that can be prosecuted criminally, there is also what we call in law tort. So in civil process, you can take it on. Yes. Yakub, where are you calling from and what's your question or contribution?
Yes, I'm calling from Boko in the Upper East region.
Hi.
Yes, please. I have a question about what you've just discussed. Please, I want to know, like, if you intend to demonstrate and you write to the police, let's say 5 days before the demonstration, and you write to the police, and let's say if the police disagrees with the route or the date of the demonstration, and write to you back, and you do not write, you refuse to write to the police back, you disagree with the police decision, and let's say the police goes to court to stop you from demonstration, and you are not made aware of the police going to court, and you go ahead to demonstrate, will you be held for contempt of court, please?
Right. So let's repeat that. The police cannot go to court without you knowing that they have gone to court. The court have said, since you remember the Let My Vote Count Alliance demonstration about the voters register, where people were really abused by the police. Some of them were whipped with horse whips, water cannons. They tear gas them. They went to court, and the court said, you don't go to the court, a lower court in the first place. They always used to go to a lower court without you knowing. The court says, no, you can't do that anymore. So now, they must serve you a copy of the process they have filed in the court. And there will be a date on the process that shows when all of you must appear before the court to argue. So they will argue their case, you two, you will argue your case, and the court will rule. So that's what will happen. If they manage, because it's a decision of the High Court, and if they manage and want to be unfair, want to act arbitrarily, and then proceed to a court and the court hears them, and they secure an order of injunction against you, unless they have served it on you, you are at liberty to go on with your process. If they haven't served it on you, you will not be liable for contempt, unless they have brought it to you and you have seen it, that they have actually obtained an order from the court that is stopping you. Until that, they can't stop you. Remember, the police is a creature of law, so they cannot act anyhow. They must act in tandem with the law. Hi, yeah, we are calling from Jolo. What's your question or contribution?
My question is that you are talking about the insult is not the right thing. But me, my problem is that I know those who they insult or they are educated people more than the entities who are still there were those who entities who joined the demonstration to the union. They defeated themselves insulting each other. Then if they know that law is not allowed to insult this one is a useless man, this one is this one, and they are doing entity. The leaders, since they started in 1996, they insulted each other up to this level. So if the law, that means the law is not working. If the law is working, like if you take one leader, example, what he insulted your candidate, particular candidate, so we are taking you to court. Like we those who follow them, we will learn from it, and we will do the same mistake. So me, I think the law in Ghana here, woman shouldn't go to a man washroom. Men shouldn't go to the other washroom. Apart from that one, you know the work. Apart from that, there is no law in Ghana here. If you have power there for your hand, you do whatever you want.
Okay, thank you very much. But the education I have given is what you have to go by. No one can take you to court for insulting them. Insult is not a crime, but you shouldn't be doing that. Why do you want to insult anybody? I don't get the point, really. Okay? But the police is there at the demonstration to protect you. The police is hired by you. You pay them. All right? And they are supposed to protect you and help you do things orderly. Why do you go about insulting them? For what? Right? But the point is that you may have read somewhere that somebody has been taken to court for insulting the president or something. It's not insulting the president. It was a certain conduct, not insulting the president. Conduct conducive to the breach of the peace, not insult. Because we used to have the law against insulting the president, and that law has been abolished. Remember that. So there's no that offense anymore. The offense now is insulting a chief or a conduct that is that can be interpreted to mean you are insulting a chief. That one is punishable up to yes, Abwaji.
Yes.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Okopoa Crap. I was the first class.
Okay.
And I wanted to find out if we have security zone where assembly and processing cannot be held over there.
Thank you.
This was in the case of...
Thank you very much. That's a straight one, and I'm sure that having followed me for a while, if you have, you will know what my views are about that. You see, to have an orderly society, there are places that are designated as security zones. And there's a good reason for which those places are designated as security zones. What people have been seeking from the police is for the police to show them what instrument, what document shows that this place has been designated as a security zone. They need to do that. I don't see why that is a problem for them to show so. Once you don't show that to them, then they say, then we won't take your word for it. You are not law unto yourself. Some of it, common sense. You can see that, yes, this place is actually a security zone. But that's not the way we work under a lawful society. If they say show us, show them. If there is none, then it has to be persuasion between the parties to agree. For example, they asked again, Bank of Ghana, they asked, where does the security zone, where does it end? From the premises of Bank of Ghana, where does it end? If it begins from the bank itself, where does it end? Show us where it ends. They couldn't show them. That means somehow somebody was seeking to be arbitrary. Somebody was not being fair. Show me, here is where it ends. Then we can have a nice, a decent discussion. But in the end, I think they were respected. So let's all resort to that. So in 2001, once again I stress, in 2001, we repealed our law, which said, you could not, insulting the chief, insulting the president was a crime. We repealed it. Then in 2008, we did a new law, which is the Chieftaincy Act. There was one before, then we did another one in 2008. And in that act, we put in there that if you demonstrate a conduct that is disrespectful or insulting language, use insulting language against a chief, then it is a crime. So note that it is a crime. Thank you. Alhaji Mama, what's your question?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Where are you calling from, Alhaji?
I'm calling from Nima.
Nima, let's hear you.
What about if someone insults me in public and threatens me at the same time, calling people to beat me or to do whatever to me?
Threat of harm is a criminal offense, and threat of murder is also a criminal offense. Okay? When someone threatens to harm you, that is an offense. That is punishable under law. When they threaten to kill you, that is also an offense that is punishable under law. So please take note of that. Don't go threatening people. It's not right. You don't have any right to do that. And if it is like making a false allegation against you, that one borders on defamation. And that is not crime. You can go to court with a civil suit that the person has made comments or publication that is untrue about you, which is false and which has damaged your reputation. And then the law of defamation will take control. I'll take my last caller and then I tell you the sanctions under the law. Let's not forget. So please forgive me if I can't take any call again. Hello.
Good afternoon, Samson.
Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Richard of Obuasi.
Hi, Rich. Let's go. A place where there's a lot of gold.
Yes, I would like to let the Ghana Police Service know that the law asking them to ensure peaceful protests and demonstrations cannot be misapplied and used against people's right to demonstrate and protest. It looks like it has become one too many where, oh, this is a security zone, we can't allow you to protest. This is a security that. It looks like some political hands are manipulating the Ghana Police Service in their favor, where almost every planned demonstration is more or less hampered by the Ghana Police Service. They excuse that, oh, it's a security zone, is this, is that. It's like they are not allowing free flow of protest. And,
thank you. Thank you for your contribution, sir. Thank you very much. That's your opinion of the police's conduct in these matters, and you're entitled to it. And in the law, I need now to state to you certain consequences if you fail to comply with the law. And remember that you can have the demonstrations only in a public place. And the law defines a public place to be a place at the material time the public have or are permitted to have access without payment or otherwise. So a place where you are allowed to have access without payment, the law says that is a public place. Where at a special event, damage is caused to public property, the organizer or any other person found to have been responsible for the damage caused are liable to pay the cost for the damage. A person taking part in a special event shall obey the directions of police officers, safeguarding the proper movement of any other persons and vehicles, and generally maintain order. A person taking part in a special event shall act in a manner that avoids causing obstruction or of traffic. Okay? You should stop causing obstruction to traffic or confusion. Yes, otherwise you are committing an offense. Stop causing obstruction to traffic or confusion or disorder. If you don't do and respect the law in that regard, if you are found guilty when you are put before the court, you could pay damages for the property that has been damaged, if property has been damaged, or you could be fined 3,000 cedis, or plus the fine, you could go to jail for 1 year. Thank you very much. This has been The Law. I'm Samson Lardy Anyenini. It's your legal lights. It's your health law. We'll come your way again next week. And next week, I have a guest for an interesting education on matters that affect you directly, as we always do.